specifically targeting an individual on the basis of sexual orientation.
Is a fig instead of an eye.
As he's calling a gay guy a queer Mexican.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, in total, it's not crazy for a gay Republican. And the exact same thing happened. Do you think the outcome would have been different?
Yes.
Why?
David Pakman just shattered Joe Rogan's MAGA talking points and left him scrambling for a defense. Rogan tried to blur the line between debate and harassment. But Pakman exposed how his so-called free speech defense is nothing more than a shield for targeted bullying. This isn't just a takedown, it's an exposure of Rogan's hypocrisy on a global stage.
Right,
Carlos Maza.
Yeah, so it's not that he's hiding that he's gay, talks about it all the time. He's kind of effeminate, and Steven Crowder mocked that. And he mocked that in these videos where he was criticizing Carlos's position on Antifa.
All right, let's start where this entire mess exploded. Steven Crowder. The guy literally turned his YouTube channel into a full-time harassment factory. For months, he went after journalist Carlos Maza. Not for his reporting, not for his arguments, but for his sexual orientation and appearance. Because apparently in Crowderland, this is what passes for comedy now. Cheap shots, punching down, and milking outrage clicks.
He called him this queer Mexican, and he's doing it in a ribbing way. He's doing it in a joking way.
And, right on cue, here comes Joe Rogan sliding in with the "I'm just the neutral guy" routine. According to Joe, Crowder was just joking, and YouTube's the big bad villain out here silencing conservatives. Really, Joe? So mocking someone's sexuality in front of millions is just stand up now? That's the hill you're dying on? Please.
They actually put what YouTube's terms of service are with regard to bullying and harassment. My reading of it, and we could go through them, if we could pull them up, we could go through it line by line if we wanted. My reading was that that definitely did break the terms and conditions.
This is where David Pakman steps in and sets the whole narrative on fire. He's basically like, Joe, this isn't politics. This isn't censorship. This is simple. Crowder broke the rules, period. YouTube's terms of service are crystal clear. Targeting someone's identity is harassment. Crowder made sexuality the punchline. YouTube called him out. That's not censorship. That's actions meeting consequences.
Crowder thing is ultimately the decision was to allow him to have his freedom to post videos on there.
But Rogan? Oh, he loves pretending this is some free speech apocalypse. As if enforcing community rules is somehow the death of democracy. Give me a break. Without moderation, platforms turn into digital war zones where bullies run the show and everyone else taps out. Pakman wasn't about to let Rogan hide behind his fake neutral referee act.
We do almost no moderation on any of our platforms that my program is on.
And then Joe cranks up the free speech martyrdom to 11. Suddenly, conservatives are being hunted by the woke mob. Poor things, right? Spare me. Joe, this isn't 1984. It's YouTube enforcing the rules Crowder agreed to when he hit accept.
Bro, do I have to sue CNN?
I don't know, do you?
They're making shit up. They keep saying I'm taking horse dewormer. I literally got it from a doctor. It's an American company.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the kicker. Rogan knows how this works. Spotify pulled dozens of his episodes for slurs and COVID misinformation, and he didn't pack up his mic or scream about censorship. Why? Because their $200 million exclusivity deal makes him very comfortable with rules. When they're his rules.
Some of the content that exists on YouTube. And UPS says, we're getting reports that you're sending people harassing stuff. We don't want you as a customer.
And Pakman drops the hammer right here. Joe, stop pretending this is censorship. It's not. It's consequences. Free speech means the government can't jail you. It does not mean YouTube owes you a megaphone to harass people for clicks.
That they represent more of a town square, so to
Yes.
speak, then okay, maybe you could pass a law that changes how they would be regulated. But that's typically the type of stuff the right is against because it is more regulation.
Pakman nailed it. Without rules, these platforms rot into toxic wastelands where harassment thrives an actual debate dies. And we've seen this movie before. Remember YouTube's adpocalypse in 2017? Brands fled after harassment scandals, creators lost millions, and chaos nearly nuked the platform. Or look at Twitter under Musk. Zero moderation turned it into a brand graveyard and a troll's playground. This isn't censorship, it's survival. Without rules, platforms burn, advertisers bail, and creators, including guys like Rogan, lose everything.
Getting harassing texts, and you report it and report it.
That's a different thing, I think.
But Joe? Oh, he's still clinging to his Wild West fantasy, where anything goes, as long as his friends are pulling the trigger. And then comes Rogan's worst argument yet. He actually claims that mocking someone's sexuality is the same thing as mocking their bad takes. Seriously, Joe? That's your defense? You're really equating debating ideas with targeting identity? Pakman crushed that instantly. Tearing apart someone's logic is debate. Mocking who they are, that's harassment. End of story.
You know, and especially when that guy wasn't even engaging with him, but he's making fun of him. He's a comedy show. He's mocking them.
And here's the kicker. When you've got millions of followers, those jokes don't just stay on the screen. They mobilize mobs. Crowder mocked Maza over and over, and surprise, his audience turned it into a pile-on.
These platforms have gotten so big that they represent more of a town square, so to speak.
Pakman slammed Rogan on this point. When you build a massive platform, you know exactly what happens when you weaponize identity. You've just handed your audience a target. Then Pakman drops the nuke Rogan never saw coming. Stochastic terrorism. If you constantly demonize someone in front of millions, sooner or later, one unstable fan is going to act on it. You don't need to say, go attack them. You've already loaded the gun. And Rogan's excuse? But I never told anyone to do anything. Nice try. Pakman nukes that instantly. When you've got an audience the size of a small country, your words don't stay harmless. They ripple, they mobilize, and eventually, they explode.
Sexual orientation and looks. That's
If Carlos Maza were a gay Republican, and the exact same thing happened, do you think the outcome would have been different?
Joe loves to act like he's just some dude at a bar tossing opinions around. He's not. With 15+ million listeners and a Spotify megaphone, he's steering the conversations of entire countries. When your reach is that massive, you don't get to shrug off the consequences. You're not just talking anymore. You're directing traffic at scale.
We looked at the content in total, and we don't think it violates our terms and conditions.
Here it is. Joe Rogan's pathetic defense. Relax, it's just comedy. Anytime one of his buddies crosses the line, suddenly it's all harmless jokes and edgy humor. But David Pakman? He burns that shield to the ground. And hey, if you're enjoying watching Rogan's arguments get shredded one by one, subscribe now, because trust me, it only gets uglier from here.
What it was that was done by Steven Crowder and what the terms of service are. Just matching it up, not looking at the comments from either person.
What was it specifically?
It was specifically targeting an individual on the basis of sexual orientation.
Pakman doesn't hold back. If your comedy means mocking someone's sexuality, gender, or identity, it's not edgy. It's cowardice dressed up as jokes. You're not dismantling ideas. You're punching down for profit. And when millions of people are watching, those jokes don't stay jokes. They normalize harassment, shape attitudes, and turn people into targets.
You're suggesting that because a certain word is sometimes used self-referentially by members of a group, that any use of it from the outside is, by definition, not problematic. And I'm just saying it's more complicated, and you've got to look at the specifics.
It's certainly more complicated.
Yeah.
And Rogan? Completely exposed. Because here's the truth. This comedy defense only applies when it's his circle doing the mocking. The moment a progressive comic fires back, suddenly it's political propaganda and agenda-driven trash. Neutral Joe, give me a break. Pakman rips the mask off. Rogan isn't defending comedy. He's defending his buddies. He's protecting the same ecosystem that thrives on identity-based attacks dressed up as humor.
There's lots of way smaller players that are violating these same terms and conditions, but Nobody knows about them. YouTube doesn't know about them.
Pakman's knockout line is brutal. Comedy isn't a hall pass for cruelty. If the punchline attacks who someone is, you're not edgy. You're just a bully with a microphone. And Rogan? By shielding his friends and hiding behind fake neutrality, he's not neutral at all. He's complicit. David Pakman didn't just debunk Joe Rogan, he demolished him. Argument by argument, excuse by excuse, until there was nothing left to hide behind. So what do you think? Should platforms protect debate but punish identity-based harassment, or should anything go, no matter the damage?